A reading from St. Mark's Gospel, chapter 12, beginning to read at verse 13. Then they sent to Jesus some Pharisees and some Herodians to trap him in what he said. And they came and said to him, "Teacher, we know that you are sincere and show deference to no one, for you do not regard people with partiality, but teach the way of God in accordance with truth. Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not? Should we pay them or should we not?" But knowing their hypocrisy, he said to them, "Why are you putting me to the test? Bring me a denarius and let me see it." And they brought one. Then he said to them, "Whose head is this and whose title?" They answered, "The emperor's." Jesus said to them, "Give to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's." And they were utterly amazed at him. I often thank God that I'm not a politician and in the firing line of the kind of questioning that politicians in the public eye get. We hear it all the time on the news. Questions that are sometimes aggressive, questions that are seemingly straightforward but with a hidden sting, questions that are designed to provoke an answer that can be pounced upon and blown out of all proportion. Those who are used to being in that kind of firing line get very good at spotting what is coming, or what that hidden sting is going to be. Infuriatingly good often in evading to give a direct answer at all, and clever too at moving the discussion on to the message they really want to deliver. I would fall at the first fence, because I would need time to think and to frame my answer, and that you never have. The question Jesus was asked that day had all the hallmarks of a planned strategy to catch him out. First of all, we are told that the questioners had been sent, and it is clear that the purpose of their question was to get him to say something damaging. They begin with some really oily flattery before delivering their punch. Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not? It was a loaded question in all sorts of ways. The emperor at the time was Tiberius Caesar. Paying taxes to the Romans was a running sore, not just because of the cost, but also because of what the tax represented. The fact that the Jewish people were not the free people of God, but under occupation. Jesus knew, however, that this was about more than that. And so he asked them to show him a coin, a tribute penny or denarius. There on the coin, about the size of a thumbnail, was an image of the emperor looking very stern and commanding. In Jewish law, carven images, especially of humans, were not permitted, so the image on the coin was offensive enough. Then there was the Latin inscription around the edge, which in English reads as Augustus Tiberius, son of the divine Augustus, and on the other side the words High Priest. Imagine the irony the early readers of Mark's Gospel would have found in picturing the one they now knew to be the true King, the Son of God, standing there in the temple asking to see that image. Some devout Jews would refuse to use the coinage and pay only in Jewish money, and some found it so offensive they would avoid ever looking at it. In getting his questioners to produce one of the coins, and by drawing attention to the blasphemous image on it, Jesus both puts them on the back foot and also perhaps cuts the emperor down to size. Pay the tax that you have to, but don't give the emperor any more than is his due. The second part of what he says, give to God what belongs to God, is what should really give us pause for thought. What does Jesus mean? If everything is created by God and comes from God, then what is our relationship to all that we think we might own or control, to the world around us? think of that coin being given back to Caesar, that coin bearing his image. We are made in the image of God. It is God who gives us life. We belong to God. What sort of giving back to God does that ask of us? I think that short and pithy response is actually saying something about what true worship is, the wholehearted offering of ourselves in praise and in service. So while the arguments about lockdown and the easing of lockdown and how to tread our way through the uncertainty and difficulty of these times swirl around us, with heated words and hostile attitudes all too often to the fore, perhaps we should, in the coming days, take time to just step back from it all, to ask for the grace to discern God's presence in all things, and for the wisdom to know what is of God's kingdom and what is not, and to pray, yours, Lord, is the greatness, the power, the glory, the splendor, the majesty, for everything in heaven and on earth is yours. All things come from you, and of your own do we give you. May God bless you and keep you. Amen.